We are here at MNU head office, Department of Alien Affairs. My name is Wikus van der Merwe, and what we do here at this department is we try to engage with the prawn on behalf of MNU and on behalf of humans.
Neill Blomkamp. This is the director and talented 3D artist that brought us films like District 9, CHAPPiE, and Elysium, three visually stunning pieces that do their part in bridging the gap between fiction and scary realities. Having graduated from Vancouver Film School, Blomkamp definitely had the know-how when he entered the cinematic world, but what makes him different? What sets him apart from other sci-fi directors that have far more experience? The answer to that can be seen throughout two of his films. One was very well received and the other...
He's already smarter than you'll ever be, you Philistine!
Let's take a look at the first of the two. District 9 is a science fiction film co-written and directed by Blomkamp in 2009 and features some of my favorite CGI and lighting. In the opening, we're greeted with the smiling face of our main character, Wikus van der Merwe, as he delivers his introduction with the MNU.
This little guy, hello, sorry. That's nice, eh? Must I look?
Yeah, just look straight into the lens, bro.
We are here.
I enjoy the shot because it's calming. Having his face lit up like this makes him seem innocent. He doesn't know what's going to happen out there, but he remains optimistic, and I think the soft tones really help capture that. Getting outside, we can see the atmosphere has gone from softer to something more abrasive, almost grittier than what we were introduced to. This feeling is the result of using natural lighting rather than recreating the scene digitally, and I think it's showcased beautifully in these shots overlooking Johannesburg. I enjoyed this shot here where Wikus delivers his first eviction notice and fails horribly.
We are here to serve you an eviction notice. You just put your screw there.
The canted angle the camera is resting at gives this feeling of disarray, and I think that meshes well with how the prawn must be feeling with a bunch of strangers asking him to leave. Something else I admire here is how the camera shakes. This shooting technique is known as cinema verite, and it's something that Blomkamp employs throughout this film. The handheld camera work makes this feel grounded somehow, as if you're watching a recap of events that have already happened, but it doesn't stop there. Something that aids this feeling is the uncomfortable shift from light to dark as Wikus enters these creatures' homes. In this scene, he enters this suspicious-looking fellow's domicile searching for anything dangerous.
We would like you to please silence.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
The outside is nice and well lit, but upon entering, it's a little more broken up and drab. Small windows act as the main light source as Wikus scrounges through the messy place, and I think that adds something to the dirty, cramped atmosphere.
This is Christmas, my friends. This is the biggest find that I've ever seen.
During his search of the small shack, Wikus finds a metal tube, this resulting in him getting sprayed with a black fluid.
But I don't trust it, you know, I don't trust anything that...
This isn't as important as what follows. Back home, Wikus' transformation is well underway. He slowly makes his way into his house to use the toilet.
Oh, baby.
Hi, baby.
I need to get to the toilet quickly.
Why?
Why are the lights off? Is the power off again?
What's the matter?
Baby, listen, I might have cracked in my pants.
And he's greeted with a surprise party celebrating his recent promotion at the MNU. Wikus doesn't look so good, and I think a lot of this can be attributed to the muted colors of the house and the clothes the guests are wearing around him, as well as the clever positioning of his guests. This feeling of being boxed in comes to mind again, only it's on Wikus this time as he throws up. This shot is interesting to me because of how ordinary yet small everything seems. It feels like this problem is becoming too much to hide, and this is where it all comes crashing down. The last shot I'm going to discuss here is
recently apprehended after prolonged sexual activity with aliens in District 9.
No, it's this one. I love this shot for its sheer simplicity. I feel the beautiful sunset looking over Wikus' hometown perfectly represents the sun setting on this chapter of his life and the darkness that's coming with it. Then there's this large ship once again. It's like a looming presence over everything he holds dear, just like the infection slowly turning him into one of the aliens that lived on that vessel. This is nicely wrapped up with the dialogue delivered by Livingstone.
The entire world was watching him. He was on every radio station, every image on television, anything you could find had his face on it. So he had nowhere else to go.
District 9 is one gorgeous film despite its comparatively smaller budget to the other films in its genre, and I think it's earned every right to be labeled as such. Packed with stunning cinematography, a seamless blending of digital and practical effects, and my favorite performance from someone who hasn't spent much time acting before the time of shooting, this film will always hold a special place in my heart. And now, the other movie. I make it seem like I hate this movie, but I actually enjoyed it a lot. It's just the critics that hate it, and we know how they can be. The story follows this lovable little robot named CHAPPiE and his adventure learning how to be, well, CHAPPiE. It's kind of a fucked up yet heartwarming story that at times has me laughing or crying. CHAPPiE was released in 2015 with a notably smaller budget than Blomkamp's other film Elysium, and received some heavily mixed reviews. The lighting and use of color throughout this film had me floored, Blomkamp gunning for a more saturated look this time around. This is demonstrated really well in CHAPPIE's awakening scene. Ninja, a gangster and rapper from South Africa, remains this cold, heartless badass as he interacts with Dion, the creator of our beloved robot protagonist.
Fine, just switch it on.
Switch the thing on now, my friend. Now!
All characters are lit with this warm orange neon sign placed on a wall nearby, and I think this does well to accent Ninja's anger as well as Dion's fear and hatred for these dirty criminals. There are these blue hues that blend into the red as well, and I think that shows some of the dichotomy between Ninja and Yolandi, the latter being more patient and willing to show care after some time and open consideration.
Come on. Here we go. Come. Come, no one's gonna hurt you. See?
This does get turned on its head, however. In this scene, Ninja leaves the still learning CHAPPiE out in the real world for a real lesson. Our robot protagonist getting beaten down, pelted with rocks, and even gets hit with a fucking Molotov.
I want to go! I want to go!
The colors become much cooler, and they do well to illustrate this feeling of being alone in the real world, as real life is often cruel and we don't always know when the suffering will stop. The same color palette continues into this gorgeous shot of CHAPPiE finding a little puppy dog. One weirdly shot kidnapping scene later, and our poor robot child makes it back home in time for my favorite interaction in this whole movie.
All the sheep in Magooville were white. But Abel was a black sheep.
The way the practical lights are set up make this room look whimsical and childlike, a very fitting setup for the subject matter of this scene. It's a tender moment as Yolandi reads CHAPPiE the book that Dion gifted him, then delivers this sweet line.
Temporary. When you die, the soul inside goes to the next place. The thing inside. See, that's what Mommy loves. Come, Mommy loves you.
The soft lighting and pastel colors really drive home this sense of security and familial relationship. CHAPPiE feels loved and... Look, I'm not crying, you're crying, okay? Lighting and colors aren't all this film contains though. This may branch off from the usual topics, but this is something I'd really like to touch on. I really enjoy this small montage of Ninja settling into the role as CHAPPIE's father, teaching the clever robot how to walk, talk, and act all cool, or as he put it,
Fucking robot gangster #1, man.
Blomkamp's direction made this interaction feel grounded and comedic, something that can be difficult when handling a character like CHAPPiE. It can be difficult to get actors to act seriously with a man in a costume, but I think the cast handled this very well for a majority of the film. The final scene I'm going to cover here wasn't selected because it was my favorite by any means, but I feel like it's fitting for how I'm feeling nearing the end of this project. The moment CHAPPiE discovers his own consciousness. I enjoy this scene because it pays homage to the beginning when Dion was following a similar process to create the AI that made CHAPPiE. It's a sweet callback, and I think our robot protagonist's eureka moment wasn't missed on anyone.
That's it. That's me.
I love how you can see the attention to detail on CHAPPIE's design here. You can see the small lights blinking just above the chin, small wires traveling down from various parts, and even the texture of his visor. CHAPPiE feels like a believable character, and it's apparent that Blomkamp ensured our lovable robot gangsta #1 would fit into any environment if necessary. Neill Blomkamp's work has been an inspiration for me since I was young. From his shooting style to his excellent use of color to tell the story, it was a no-brainer to select him for this project. So, what sets him aside from other directors? That's easy. It's his mastery over sci-fi. Neill is great at taking films one would consider impossible and making them a reality. It's a shame that he hasn't gotten much work since Chappie, but I suppose we can only wait for his return to Hollywood cinema, for this man to come back and blur the lines once again.